So, welcome everyone. This is Learn to Love Again. I'm so happy to connect with you here and support you today. So, I'll just do a quick introduction of myself. Um, my name is Orit Krug. I'm a board certified dance movement therapist. I've been doing this work for 10 years, working in different facilities, psychiatric hospitals, day treatment centers, with people who are struggling with trauma, who've been on the edge of life, literally. And then for the last 2 years, I've been doing this work exclusively online with women who've experienced trauma in the past, who are now have your walls up real hard in your relationship, and you really want to let them down so that you can have that healthy love that you're wanting and deserve. Some facts about me. I went through my own personal transformational journey after a very low point in my relationship with my husband now, where he broke up with me a year into us dating because I was sabotaging our relationship because I had all this unresolved trauma. So I'm super passionate about this work. I've been on the other side, and I know that we can get to the other side. And another fun fact, well, that's not really a fun fact, but a fun fact about me is that I started going gray when I was like 20 years old. And now that we're in quarantine, I've been trying this brown cover-up powder. Anyone else? Is anyone else in the same boat? Not that that's the worst thing that could happen. Yes, we are on. Everyone can hear me, right? All right. You can always like give a thumbs up or say yes in the chat box. All right. So to just go over real quick who this workshop is for, just make sure you're in the right place. This workshop is for you if you are in a relationship where you have a healthy, loving, supportive partner, but you have this trauma that you've experienced in the past, maybe in your childhood, maybe in a past romantic relationship, or both. And now you're unable to let your walls down, unable to let your partner's love in. Maybe you're shutting down, freezing up, or you're more reacting and fighting and getting aggressive. But it's like at the first sign of conflict, it's like, oh my gosh, when is all the shit gonna hit the fan? Sorry for my language, I do curse. Hope that's okay. This workshop isn't for you if you are currently in an abusive relationship. So if that's your situation, I don't think that this workshop is right for you. You could still get some things out of it, but this is more if you've experienced trauma in the past. So can you just comment in the chat box, and is this you? I want to know who I'm talking to today. The things that I like, the issues, the challenges in your relationship, does that sound like you? And is there something else going on that maybe I didn't mention? Okay, I'm the biggest self-sabotager. I bet you there's people here who might argue and say that they're the biggest self-sabotager. Thanks for sharing. Is it Jacosta? Jacosta? Let me know if I'm saying your name right. Yes. Make sure you're chatting to everyone, because I just got a private message. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or not. All right, so we get yeses here. Yes. All right, you are in the right place. Yeah, I have a hard time forgiving due to fear, going in and out of love and connection for a few years after severe trauma. Excuses not to be together with my husband. There's kids and children, right? It's busy, all that stuff. Yeah. All right, thank you for sharing. So we're gonna go into the first part of the workshop. And if you brought your workbook, this is gonna answer question 1. If you don't have your workbook with you, don't worry about it. Don't scramble for it right now. I know these answers will stick with you anyway. So the first thing we're gonna answer, and this is like First question is, what are the patterns and dynamics that you're experiencing right now in your relationship? Some of you just name them more specifically. And how are they set up earlier in your life? Maybe in your childhood, maybe in a previous relationship. You might know the answer already. You might have been in therapy and counseling for a while and you're like, yep, I know, I've talked about this over and over again. So if you know already, that's great. We're going to answer this from the mind now, but we'll get some more deeper insight from our bodies shortly. And to give you some examples, I'll share a couple of stories, a couple of examples of my former clients. One of them is, her name is Bridget, and in her marriage, she was not able to communicate, she was not able to speak up. And like whenever there was anything to have a discussion about with her husband, she froze. And he would be like, why don't you talk to me? Why don't you include me? Like, why aren't we communicating? And she just couldn't help it. Like, she just froze. This was her nervous system reaction. And we discovered through our work together that when she was younger, she witnessed her parents being in an abusive relationship. Whenever her mother spoke up or said anything, he was abusive. And so even though she didn't directly experience that trauma in her childhood, she witnessed it. This was the story and belief in her body that if she spoke up, she would get physically and emotionally hurt, even though her husband never did anything like that. And then, sounds like me, that story possibly, I think you're talking about Jenna. Yeah, so that's one example. So maybe that resonates with you. Another example is a client, Kathy, who grew up with a narcissistic father. And then just for the rest of her relationships until the one she has now, she was in a string of narcissistic relationships, got married to a narcissistic abusive man who now, good thing she's not with anymore. She's with a new partner, but she always felt like she had to change who she was just to get their love because she was so neglected by all of them. And of course, this never actually worked for her. So she just kept desperately trying to get love. And finally, she's with this partner today who is showing her love, who does love her. And when we first started working together, she still couldn't be herself. She still couldn't trust that she was worthy of love because that just was never her experience. And she never got that healthy love. So she was pushing her partner away until we did the work together. Maybe that resonates more with you. Let me know. You can answer, if you can answer this in the chat box, like, what were the patterns that happened for you early in your life that's now being mirrored in your relationship or causing the issues in your relationship? You can go into as much detail or as little detail as you want, or you can say, yeah, those sound like me, or that's exactly what's happening for me, or maybe you don't know yet, which is also okay. So I'll see if anyone wants to share, and I'll take a drink of water. Oh yeah, Sophie. I can resonate with that being one of the things that I did as well. If I can help my partner be the rescuer or give advice all the time, then I'll get love, right? Like they have to need me, right? If I'm not needed, then I'm not worthy of love, instead of being able to, what if we came back and received, right? And we trusted that we don't have to always come to the rescue to have that. Yeah, and just see like, where did that come from? So I know for me, and sometimes on my worst days, like I still do that sometimes. I was like the rescuer of my family because I was like the most cheerful, happier, like one of the happier persons in my family, and everyone was like really miserable, and I would always want to try to like cheer everyone up. And so I definitely brought that into my adulthood, not just in my relationship, but being a serious people pleaser. My parents fought a lot. Yeah, I take on those traits, being defensive and the problem solver, agree with the rescue, freeze instead of speaking up. Yeah. Ooh, I'm getting a lot of comments. I won't read all of them out loud, but I'll just kind of skim and just know that I'm seeing you, and thank you for sharing. Yeah. And you might even read other people's comments and be like, yeah, I totally resonate with that. That sounds, you might get insight from others as well. Go silent and disappear, as I did in my childhood, fear of abandonment, I'm not enough. Yeah. Focusing on the bad. Yeah. Especially when we have trauma, we're wired to look for those danger signs. So keep those comments coming. I'm going to move on and just keep going. So this trauma that you experienced, even though we're answering from the mind right now, someone's unmuted. If you're unmuted, make sure you're muted, please. Thanks. The trauma that you experienced, even though we're answering these questions from the mind, we have some awareness of what has happened and how it's affecting us right now. We store most of our trauma in our bodies, in that nonverbal part of our brains. So most of the trauma that we experience that we're actually storing is in our bodies and is in this part of ourselves that we can't even access through words. I'm just gonna mute. Okay. So when you're looking for the danger signs, when you're freezing up, when you're coming to the rescue, when you're reacting, all of this is how your nervous system is wired right now. And it's not your fault that you're responding this way. It's not your fault that the trauma happened to you. Your nervous system is just now hardwired to look for these danger signs. It's hardwired to react to these triggers because we remember the trauma in fragments of sensations. It's why, like, we could smell a certain smell, or our partner looks at us a certain way, or says something to us with a certain tone of voice, and it wasn't even anything aggressive or threatening, like when we think about it rationally, but all of a sudden we go into this serious survival reaction because it's triggering that memory in our bodies. And so because that's how we store our trauma, because that verbal conscious part of our brain shuts off, goes offline when we have experienced trauma, and even when it's getting triggered in the moment, we have to do this work in body and movement, because that's how we can access the trauma. That's the only way to access the trauma. And that's why people spend years in talk therapy, or they go to couples counseling, and it's like things haven't changed. Things are still the exact same way. I have more insight. Like a lot of you are answering with such wonderful insight and reflection. You know what's going on, but the fact that you can't change it, or it feels like you can't change it, is the reason why we have to do this work through the body and release the body store trauma with movement. Because again, we can't release it with words. Our body doesn't know words. It doesn't speak words. It speaks movement. Does that make sense? So we're gonna head into our first exercise here. And I just want to clarify that sometimes when people hear me say, okay, body and movement, awesome, I've been doing yoga, or I'm going to go take a yoga class, and they think it's the same. And I want to be really direct and clear, like it's not the same. Because when we move our bodies, and this is important to remember for right now too, when we start moving our bodies, when we start moving our bodies in a different way than kind of our normal everyday movements or patterns, we inevitably stir up old trauma. And so when that happens, If we don't do anything, like if we don't actually do anything about that in the moment that is releasing it, it's just going to send you right back into those old patterns, into those old reactions. And that's exactly what's happening right now in conflict with your partner. You know, it's the trauma stirred up from something, and then you go back into those reactions. So when that starts to happen in your body, when we start to safely, gently connect to your body, you need to be supported by a qualified therapist who can see your movements, your micro movements, your micro body signals, to prevent you from repeating the same old patterns. And you have to be able to feel, like, the way that we rewire our nervous system is that we feel that fear coming up, but it doesn't take over us. It doesn't send us into survival response. And we can move through it. We can move through those triggers so that what feels like really triggering right now doesn't anymore once we rewire our nervous system. And it's that act of regulating the nervous system, which needs to happen in relationship, so you can stay present and connected as you release, right? So you can stay present and connected with your partner, even when something's a bit scary or triggering. So get comfortable, and well, let me know if you have, well, we'll save time at the end for questions. But if you have a question, just take note of it and I can answer it later. So I love this description, and move through that response and trigger, and would like to experience that. Awesome. So right now we're not going to, we're not going to release trauma today. We're not going to release trauma here right now, because this is like, this isn't a therapy session. But you can get a little bit of a taste of how the trauma is living in your body, just a little taste of how it's living in your body and how it moves in your body, how it makes you want to move, how it wants to move through you or out of you. So this is going to be question 2, but we're not ready to answer it yet. We're going to do a little exercise first. So is everyone ready to, well, it's going to be like gentle, really gentle. It might not even be a lot of movement. So you can stay in your chair. Some people like to stand up already. I think I see some standing. And, or you can go to your floor if you want more grounding. You can start wherever you want. And I'm going to start guiding you. So I'm going to get comfortable as well, actually, here. And let's just start with a few deep breaths here, just to transition from that verbal information space to our bodies. So let's take 3 deep breaths together, breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in, you can already invite any movement you want with these breaths. You don't have to be still. And breathing out. And one more time, breathing in. Maybe you want to invite a lot of movement into these breaths just to transition into from mind to body, and breathing out. And you can close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. You can lower your gaze if that's more comfortable for you. If you just want to keep your eyes open, try to just lower your gaze and don't look anywhere distracting, because we want to basically look inside of our bodies right now, metaphorically speaking. And if at any time you don't feel safe, just open your eyes, look at me, listen to me, and you don't have to do this today if it doesn't feel safe. So right now, I just want you to identify a sensation in your body. The first sensation that comes up, there's no right or wrong here, but as you're breathing, as you're there, what do you feel first in your body? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, and it could be tension in your shoulders. It could be butterflies in your stomach. It could be a temperature that you feel in a certain part of your body. It could be tightness, tingliness. Again, no right or wrong. And if you feel something and you're like, no, that can't be it, just go with it, because that's what's right for you right now. And once you have a sense of what that sensation is, just observe it. Don't analyze it. This is what many of us do as trauma survivors. We automatically want to start analyzing, what does it mean? Or maybe it's painful, or, don't label it. And just watch it. Is it moving in this part of your body, right? Like, so if it's butterflies in your stomach, is it kind of like circling around in there? Is it pulsing in this part of your body? Is the sensation traveling to a different part of your body? Just kind of watch it as an observer and, like, curiously, what's happening? Without judging, without labeling it, without making any meaning. And once you kind of get a picture of that, or get a sense of that, I want you to start inviting movement in there. And what that means is, how does your body want to respond to this sensation right now? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just, we want to make sure it's coming from within us versus like an outside expectation of how we think we should move to this. So if it's, if it's in your shoulders, you might just feel the instinct to start rolling your shoulders. Or if it's, if you're feeling your sensation moving from, from your arms to your fingertips, you might have this instinct to stretch out your arms into your fingertips. No right or wrong. I'm just gonna leave you to this for about a minute and keep inviting movement in here to your body. It could look like kind of like a flowing movement. It might be like, I feel like I don't want to move, and that's okay too, because all of this is just information that your body is revealing to you right now. Yeah. And keep going with that, and we're going to do this for another 30-ish seconds. How does your body want to move right now? There's no right or wrong. Go with your instincts, even if it feels awkward or silly or just unfamiliar. Or maybe it feels really good and you're indulging in it. And whatever you're doing right now, whatever movement you're doing or not doing, we're going to start finding a closure to this movement experience. Meaning, don't just stop what you're doing and come back. Really slow it down gradually. Like, make your movement slower and smaller until you find a natural pause. I always say it's like if you're driving a car, instead of pushing on the brakes, you're taking your foot off the gas pedal and you're letting your car come to a stop naturally. So you want to give yourself this closure. You just had an intimate experience with your body. We need closure anywhere, everywhere. We could start with ourselves right here. And once you find that closure in your movement, in your experience, Then come back to the screen. Come back to the chat box. And share as much as you feel comfortable. What did you notice? What did you notice in your body, and what sensation did you notice in your body, and how did you want to move it, or how did it want to move through you? And the purpose of this is really because you have to find the right way for you to access, not that we've accessed trauma here, not that we've released trauma here, but we got a taste of like, wow, I know all your eyes were closed, but everyone was moving differently. Everyone's experience looked different here today, because that's really what it is. Like, we all store trauma. We all have different traumas, right? And we all store it differently in our bodies, and we all need to move it and release it differently. And so you have to be finding the right way for you to do it. Otherwise, it's never going to feel safe, and it's never going to work. And if it doesn't feel safe as the first most important step, it's not going to work, because you're already not feeling safe. That's why you're having these reactions in your relationship. I was surprised how clear the feeling was, shaking it off, tingling, and big wavy movements. I love this. It felt calming. Pain in my heart slowly moving into my stomach. You all had such clear experiences. Moving, shaking. Notice my lungs, maybe trying to find breath. Yeah, be curious. We might not have this was a really short experience. We're not gonna find the answers today, but we can be curious. And like, it's not, in this workshop, it's not about necessarily like, what does this mean right now? It's more like, hey, you just got an experience of how you may potentially need to move through your trauma. And the clients that I spoke about before, Bridget and Kathy, like, they had pretty similar experiences. Not feeling worthy of love, being scared to be themselves, being scared to speak up. But the work that they did to heal their trauma looked so different in movement. And even when you discover what you need a little bit, like right now, it's always gonna look different moment to moment. And that's why it's so important to have that supportive, that qualified therapist with you, because like, you don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what your body is going to reveal when you start doing this work, and what comes up needs to be rewired however it looks. I always thought it was going to be my shoulders, surprised that it was my hands, mind racing and butterflies, and all I want to do is go, go, go. Yeah. And like, so some of you are saying this has been like really calming. It felt really good. And for some of you, this might, even like just a short thing like this might highlight, whoa, I'm really feeling my body's almost like push against something like this. And I'm so used to being fast. I'm used to going, that this is like connecting to my body right now. I'm feeling a little bit of a resistance. And at the same time, that might not be what it means. It might just mean that your body, like, we might need to meet your body in a place where we're more in an active state, and start from there, and rewire so that you can be in a more calm, regulated state, more okay with just being there. So the things that you're sharing now, you can answer that in question 2 of your workbook. Feeling a need to cry. Yeah, this can definitely, again, like when we connect to our bodies in a different way. And I hope, like, one of the reasons I do this is because it feels most like it's usually safe enough. It's not going to be too intense, but you still might feel like, Okay, yeah, I can really feel how much I've been holding inside and how much really wants to be released and let go. All right, so thank you all for sharing. And just for the purpose of time, we're going to move forward. So you got this experience in your body. We understand that trauma is stored in our bodies and we need to release it through movement. The thing is, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is even when they start doing this work, they heal the trauma from their nervous system, they're still doing the same patterns. They're still behaving the same way in their relationship because trauma is stored in our physical body as well as our nervous system. So even once we rewire the trauma, even once we rewire our nervous systems, we still have to change those physical patterns in our bodies because think about it, our bodies are the vehicle for which we interact with the world. Behavior is movement. Behavior is action. Like, we spend a lot of time talking or thinking about the way we behaved, right? Or the next time you might be in couples counseling, the next time that my husband and I, or my partner and I, have a discussion, I'm not going to flip out. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to listen without getting defensive. I'm going to really take my turn and respond calmly. And then you talk about how you're going to behave, but the same thing happens. And it's because it's different. Like, again, that's your mind saying one thing, but your body is doing another. And there's just no amount of talking that can teach your body a different behavior when we've been doing the same behaviors in our physical bodies for so long. Okay. Okay, you all can still hear me, right? All right, thank you. So we're gonna move into another movement experience before I talk too much. And we're gonna feel in our bodies now. How would you choose to respond if this trauma charge wasn't running through your body and if you weren't taken over by these habitual patterns of responding, right? Your body has been holding on to this trauma for so long. Even if you don't remember how long it's always longer than we think. And we're gonna just get a taste of how would we behave differently if our bodies weren't functioning based on all these years of storing trauma, if we released that trauma from our physical bodies as well. And again, I'll say that this isn't going to release trauma. This isn't a session. And we're not even accessing trauma here. We're just doing an exercise to connect more to your body and feel the possibilities. So get comfortable again. I'm gonna have a sip of water. And you can close your eyes or lower your gaze again. And if you need some breaths, yeah, let's take a breath together, breathing in and breathing out. Yeah, if there's any movement you need to do before getting into more movement. So now this time, I want you to envision how you want to be different in your relationship. We started this workshop saying the things that you're doing right now in response to your partner, pushing them away, reacting, self-sabotaging, all those things. We said what we did. Now we say what we're doing now. Right now, I want you to envision if all of that was gone, if you changed, if your behaviors changed, what would that look like in you, in your body? How would you be holding yourself? How would you be walking? How would you be moving? How would you be in your body? You might even want to stand up for this, because you could even explore, like walking around your space in here in a different way. Just get that image of you being this new woman who lets in your partner's love, who's connected, who's physically, sexually adventurous, whatever it is for you. And start moving it. Again, start inviting movement. How would you be different in your body? How would you hold yourself? This could be literal, like you might have a literal sense of moving this, or it could be really abstract and just like, you know, I don't know, opening up. Maybe it's like opening up or holding yourself a little bit taller. I'm gonna stand up just to show you some possibilities too, if you're looking, but you don't have to, you can do your own thing. You know, could just be a simple walk around your space with your shoulders back, your head tilted up a little bit more. And notice that, like, how does that produce a different feeling in you too? Like when I do this, I immediately feel more confident. There's no right or wrong here. Maybe it's taking up more space, right? So used to being quiet and hiding in myself. Maybe it's like, maybe I envision myself taking up more space. No right or wrong. You've got all the answers in your body. So just go with it. And experiment too. Like you could try something on and be like, yeah, this is, no. You can change your mind. It's your body, your choice. Just gonna check in with all of you. Keep going. I see people moving. Awesome. Yeah, and just keep noticing. Maybe it doesn't even look like movement. Maybe there's like a sort of stillness, and that's something your body is showing you need. Keep going. I'm just checking in on all of you. And keep noticing too how it feels. And if there are any of you who are like, I have no idea, you take a look at the screen. There are people who are being very generous and keeping their video on, and you know, you can always be like, oh yeah, that looks, there's so much power too in seeing in another person what we might want, right? When we look at someone walk down the street and we're like, kind of wish I looked like that. So if you're not sure, if you're stuck or you just want some ideas, you can also look at some of the others here. And if your video is on, you're like, nope, don't want that, you could turn off your video. And take another 30 seconds here, moving. And then after that, we're gonna start slowing down gradually, slowly, whatever you're doing, however you're moving right now. Just find a gradual, slow way. Give yourself that closure from this movement experience. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Take your time. The least we could do for ourselves, right? Giving ourselves that closure, that intimate experience we just had moving with ourselves. Oh. And wherever you are, I made that sound because I read that last comment. Wherever you are, again, take your time, come back to the screen. And let's take another breath together. Even if you're still moving, let's all take a breath together, breathing in, inviting whatever movement you want with this. And breathing out. Maybe maybe you need another movement with that. Coming back to the screen, and this is question 3 in your workbook. Your experience, that I would love, as much as you feel comfortable in the chat box, sharing here. What was your experience? How would you be? What did you experience in yourself? What was different about the way you moved? How did you hold yourself, move yourself, walk around the room, hold yourself in your skin, in your body? Maybe you didn't move, but you felt a different way in your body. And yeah, just the question, what would I be or look like without that stuff, has brought me to total tears. Yeah, I don't know if you ended up moving after even hearing that, but I'd love to hear what happened for you in your movement. I assumed I'd be more stable, stronger, but my body wanted to be expansive. Freedom is what my body was seeking. Light, freedom. We're probably going to see a lot of repeat words here. It's usually what happens. Ecstatic, grounded, fuller, free. Smile, playful, more powerful, flirting, planted, looser, relaxed. Deep breaths, no anxiety. Yeah, how you thought you wanted to be was one way. That's something that's coming up too. Like, we think we want to be this one way, but our body reveals something different. Steadiness, not feeling restlessness, softness. What Tori said, smiling, standing, confident, energy shift. Stand, yeah, just to stand and sense your shoulders is enough. Sometimes a little bit is a lot. A little bit goes a long way. So keep writing your responses, and we're just going to move towards the end here. You know, from now experiencing, like having this experience, feeling this, keep this feeling in your body right now, right? Keep that sense. What will be different? What will be different now about in your relationship? How will you be responding to your partner differently? You know, we're still in this realm of, okay, this is who I am now. How will you handle conflict now? What are you doing together for fun that you weren't doing before? How are you working now through arguments? This is a vision now that you can take right from your body and movement experience. So write your vision. Try to walk taller and feel my space, more comfortable, alive, and playful. Yeah, so this is kind of like question 4 with writing your vision, question 4 in the workbook, and question to answer here. Like, can you see yourself being more playful, more alive in your relationship? How does that come into play in your relationship? Being looser, more playful. A lot of people, when they do this, the word playful and free and fun comes up, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so serious all the time. Like, I take everything really seriously. I want to feel this way instead. I want to not take everything so personally and be so defensive and just be like more free. So write out your vision. Yeah, you have more space to listen more without getting defensive. And I want to let you know, I'm kind of moving a little bit faster now, just watching the time. And you know, if you didn't write out your full vision right now, definitely go back to your workbook and expand on that. As you're writing your vision, I want you to know that your nervous system and your body is capable of being this way all the time. Obviously, we'll have our bad days, right? Here and there, but bad days doesn't even look as bad as they do now, even when you rewire your nervous system and your body. And I want you to know, like, you are not a special form of damaged goods. People will be like, that's awesome, yeah, this is cool, but for me, I don't know if this could work for me. Honestly, like, you're unique, you're a beautiful, unique soul, but you are not special in that way that you cannot rewire your nervous system, because we all have a neurophysiological equal opportunity to rewire ourselves. and change our patterns. And you even just got a taste of what that could feel like, of the fact that you are capable of feeling differently. So I want you to know, like, first, how does that feel? Does that feel like, you know, given your experience, that that is possible for you, this vision? Yeah, the things that you're saying, not exploding into anger, right? Not having as much, not needing as much control, letting go more. Does this feel possible for you? Whether or not maybe you still even hear a little voice in your head, like our heads want to take over because it's safe to be in our minds, right? We've been there for so long. And your body has just shown something totally different. But still, your head might be like, I don't know. I still want you to make a commitment right now. Make one commitment. The next time my partner says this, I'm going to respond this way instead. The next time I feel this way with my partner, I'm going to do this instead. Make one commitment, one sentence for right now. And then in your, you can make one commitment, but then in your workbook, you can make a few if you'd like. But let's just start with one right now. It's possible. It's completely possible. It's possible for me to always feel like this. I'm able to be more positive and happy, at peace, with organic movements in relationship without forcing, proud of who I am, not excusing for the space I take up. Amazing. Yes. Yes, you are. It's possible for me. Just need to put into practice and do it. And once you have, yes. I just wanted to pause and like really feel that. That's amazing. Yes, it is possible for you. And make your commitment, make a movement. So if it's like the next time I feel like I want to shut down with my partner, I'm gonna like try to be more open instead, right? Something like that. And you can make a movement. Again, there's no right or wrong movement here. You just, one thing, make it simple so you can remember it. It's possible to let love and intimacy in. Yes, it is. And so even though we're making one commitment here today, what really needs to happen is that you have to make the full commitment, right? You have to make the full commitment and take those next steps to wire yourself for love, for good, right? So that you can feel this all the time. So it's not just like like today we had a temporary release, right? But so that you can have this and feel this all of the time and have the healthy, lasting relationship that you want, that's right in front of you and that you totally deserve. No matter what's happened to you in the past, you do deserve healthy, lasting love. So what I'm here, that's why I'm here today too, is because I want to offer you a solution. I have a specially designed program that I made for this purpose that I would love to share with you. And if you want to stick around and hear it and go through it with me, then I'd love to have you. And if you, if this was enough for you and you have to go, then I also want to thank you so much for coming, and thank you for moving with us. So I'm going to share the offer next for those of you who want to stay and hear it. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to share the competition winner. So some of you entered a giveaway that I was doing to win a free relationship roadmap. And I'm going to do that at the end. And I'm also going to be here for questions. Questions about any of this that we did today, questions about the program. I'll also stick around. You're welcome. You are welcome. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's do this. All right, so, okay. So what I want to share with you today is my Let Love In group program. So through safely, gently connecting to your body through movement, you rewire yourself for healthy, lasting, loving relationships, and you let your partner's love in. Okay. Oh, I don't know why that picture isn't showing up. There was supposed to be a nice picture there. So the first thing is we heal from past trauma. So you clear old expectations and beliefs that you don't deserve love or you deserve to be treated badly. You appreciate your partner's acts of love instead of questioning or rejecting them. This saves your marriage from building the toxic resentment and falling apart. Does anyone here resonate with that? Rejecting, questioning partner's acts of love? We expand your body's window of tolerance around conflict instead of reacting in fight, flight, or freeze. You are now wired to choose your response when you have a disagreement. You calmly stand your ground and listen to your partner's needs without getting triggered. This is how relationships heal and transform, even after years of being in unhealthy patterns together, even after years of unhealthy communication. You do this work, and this can turn it all around no matter how long you've been struggling with this. Let in your partner's love so you enjoy your marriage and feel more adored than you have in any other relationship. No more worrying about things falling apart or shutting out your partner to protect yourself from getting hurt. You believe that you are worthy of love and a healthy, happy, lifelong partnership. And you connect to your body, understand your inner world, and feel comfortable, happy, and expansive in your own skin. You eliminate the compulsive need to talk or think about your problems and know exactly what you need to resolve them easily, just like you got so much clarity here today. It's just on a much deeper level. This results in deep self-trust and personal safety that makes you more confident and daring in your relationship and beyond. You feel confident in your body and how you express yourself so you can be 100% you without apologizing. No more abandoning your own needs and seeking external validation to feel good about yourself. You can now let your partner see the real you and be vulnerable instead of nitpicking, fighting, and blaming. So sometimes people say, oh no, I don't care anymore what people think, like I've gone past that. And that's the mind saying that. However, a lot of times when we get into this work, so much comes up in the body and in movement, like the fear of looking silly or being seen in a certain way, or because when you open yourself up in new ways, it's like, actually, whoa, I have cared being seen in a different way. And when you're able to be vulnerable, you're able to come to your partner without that blaming and nitpicking and all of that. And you have unconditional forgiveness and love for yourself. Even when you make mistakes in your relationship, you have bad days, or you don't know how to handle an issue right away. You grow in strength through becoming your own best friend in a practical, grounded way. You finally leave the past in the past and you let love in. So you get 8 live sessions, 90 minutes each, lifetime access to digital curriculum. So basically, after each session, you get movement videos and movement meditations that will press directly. I'm going to turn off your microphones here. Can y'all turn off your microphones? I got it. I can do it. I got it. Okay. Yeah, so like, let's say, even though this is a small group setting, so it's only 3 to 5 people. And let's say you specifically, what comes up for you is that you really need to work on boundaries. So I would give you a movement video where you work on that in your body in between sessions. And you get lifetime access to all the movement videos, all the movement meditations, even if you don't go through all of them through the program. You get that for life. for a refresh and whatever, down the line if you need. We also have a private Facebook group exclusive to those who are just in the group. So you get that support. You get that support from me and from your group members. And I like to do like pop-up lives and, help you in between sessions too, not just through, you can post about what you need and what you're struggling with or processing things that happen in session and your relationship. And we have that support, but I also like to do some extras for you based on what you're really needing. This is a 3-month program. And again, it's very small. It's only 3 to 5 people. And it's really structured in a way that is short-term, more immersive, so that you don't have to spend any more, like all these years talking about it in different kinds of therapies that, that don't really help you change in a lasting way. This is a short program that helps you change in a way that lasts, so that you do the work and you have the benefits of changing your relationship and having that lasting relationship for good. So the total value of this is $12,991. Don't worry, it's not that much. The program is not that much. And the program is $29.97 US for the 3 months. And I know these are unusual times. These are rough times right now. So there are payment plans available as well if you're interested. We can work that out. So this is, again, a small program. We already have 2 people who are joined. So there are 1, 2, 3 spots left. And the reason I say that is because, well, I handpick everyone who comes into the group. We need to make sure it's a safe space and that everyone is going to work well together. Because again, if you're not safe, then there's no point in doing this work. It's not going to work. You need that safety to rewire your nervous system. You can even book your review right now. Again, it's obligation free. And it's free. There's no obligation to join the program. But if you do, and you're one of the first 3 to book, you will get that free roadmap. And on the call, we'll talk about specifically what's going on for you and how specifically, like the steps that you'll need to take to rewire your nervous system, take down your walls, and let love in, and stopping those behaviors that you're doing now. And whether or not you join, you'll still get really good value and information on your personal situation. So if you have any questions right now about the program, please type it into the chat box, and I will answer those. And while you're typing in, I just want to give you some stories about some clients who've done this work, who've had amazing success with their relationships. So Kristen Lindley says, before our sessions, I was afraid that my husband was going to divorce me. There was a lot of resentment and anger in our marriage, and I always tried to keep the peace instead of speaking up about my feelings. Now I communicate better with my husband, make sure I'm heard, and stand my ground, even during disagreements. We're more open with each other and closer than we've ever been. Another is Bridget, Miss Bridget Holder from Australia. I talked a little bit about her earlier in the workshop. She says, after 20 years, I was finally able to release my childhood trauma and get rid of the fear that I'd ruin my marriage if I spoke up about my feelings. My husband and I now have much better communication, and I've never been this confident in my body. My marriage went from stale and disconnected to easy and graceful. This saved our relationship and our family. We'll do one more here. Sarah Taylor Hughes from the UK. I now feel at home and comfortable in my body. I notice when I'm triggered, and I'm able to take a step back, breathe, and take control of my actions. I'm amazed at how strong my boundaries are with my partner, and I speak up for myself in a calm and thoughtful way without second guessing or doubting myself. This improved all of my relationships and changed my life. I've got another one, but I know it's past 1. So if anyone wants that one, I can send it to you. And I'm just gonna, I can't see the chat box while I'm sharing my screen, so I'm gonna stop sharing here and come back to you. And let me pin my video again here. Cool. Let's see. So you're welcome. You are so welcome.